Out now is the new book, Functional Play, written by the practical therapist, also known as LaShanya S. LeCount. In this book, three main questions will be answered that many parents and guardians ask regarding their child and their current disabilities. These questions are: what is functional play and why is it important? How do I know if my child is demonstrating functional play? How can I teach my child how to play with toys more appropriately? In this book, all three questions will be answered precisely and simplistically. If you are interested, check it out on Amazon, or you can also click the link in the description box below. For more information, please be sure to subscribe and hit the bell. Also, stay tuned for more products in the future. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Practical Therapist. Today, we will be discussing the importance of functional play. Please get ready to join me as we delve into part one of this series titled, How to Use Modeling to Teach Appropriate Play with Toys. If you're looking at this slide now, I can tell you that I have seen this look on parents' faces many times during my years of practice. Play, play, play. All you do is play. During my first few years out of grad school, I would have some parents tell me that all I do is play with their child. During our speech and language therapy sessions, I could almost feel the frustration coming from them as I sat there and played with little Tyler or little Jasmine for 30 minutes to an hour. Looking at parents' faces, I'm sure I was able to read their thoughts as well. I play with my child already. Is this what my copay covers? She's not teaching me anything new. Let's define functional play. Functional play can be defined as using specific toys for the function for which they were created. Examples include pushing a car along on the carpet, pretending to feed a baby doll, or attempting to blow or pop bubbles. Play is the way in which children begin to understand and make sense of their world. Functional play is a powerful tool for developing social skills, problem-solving skills, and cognitive skills, along with language and communication skills. Let's look at each of these skills in more detail. Here, we're going to talk about social skills. Older kids and toddlers exhibit this skill on the playground. Any parent that has taken their child to their local playground has probably seen two small children begin chasing each other around while smiling and laughing. It's really that simple. No awkwardness, no anxiety, or fear of rejection that some adults experience when meeting new people. Heck, for toddlers, names are not even required. It's simply, hey, I see you playing and I want to join in on the fun, so let's go. This is a basic demonstration of socialization and/or social interaction. Next up, we have problem-solving skills. As a parent, have you ever seen a young child around 2 or 3 years old begin to exert independence? Now that they are walking and have more freedom to explore the playground, the first thing many children want to do is slide, but these things called steps are in the way. If you watch closely, the first thing these toddlers tend to do is watch older children or the quote, big kids at the park run up and down the steps. However, the toddler is aware of his or her limitations in the form of their chubby, short little legs. But that does not stop them from conquering the steps to get to the ultimate goal of sliding. In their mind, they know they cannot run up the steps like the big kids, but they do figure out that they can climb or crawl up the steps. Even though it may seem insignificant, your child has used visual input, i.e., watching the big kids, and combined that knowledge gained with their own physical abilities, crawling or climbing up the steps to get to their ultimate goal of sliding. Once the toddler experiences success, they know that it works and they try it again. There, problem solved. Next, we have cognitive skills. If we go back to problem-solving skills, these two areas tie in somewhat with each other. Let's discuss the point where a toddler has finally figured out how to maneuver themselves up the steps and onto the slide and is able to slide down successfully. With success comes confidence. Now that the toddler has become successful at learning how to access the slide, he or she becomes confident that they can do it again. This leads to repetition of the desired action. For your toddler, the following skills suggest changes and development in cognitive functioning. We also call this executive functioning. Some aspects of this include the following: cognitive flexibility. The toddler has identified a problem, such as navigating the steps to get to the slide. Next would be self control. The toddler has taken careful measures to crawl or climb up the stairs as opposed to trying to run like the bigger kids and possibly fall and injure themselves. Next, we have working memory. This is repetition of the learned behavior. Hey, I figured out how to navigate these steps, and now I can get to my desired outcome, which is actually getting to the slide and sliding down. All right, now let's look at the development of language and communication skills in functional play. Any parent who has pulled up to a playground and or park and gotten out of their car can usually hear the noisy chatter of kids immediately upon entering the playground area. This is a place where you will find typically developing children laughing, talking, and playing. Kids use their language and communication skills for a variety of reasons. Some examples can include the following: turn taking, such as waiting for their turn and asking for their turn on a swing, and verbalizing a need for help, for example, asking a friend or parent to push them on the swing. Why is functional play important? If you look at this slide, there are several bullet points listed that discuss important skills that children develop when engaged in functional play. For the following slides, we will discuss each one as it relates to children with a developmental disability who may not yet have begun to exhibit any of the skills listed here. Here you can see that a parent who uses and engages in functional play can do the following: use toys appropriately by modeling the desired behavior, or engaging their child in a developmentally appropriate play scheme. Let's look at point one: modeling how to use toys. Certain children with a developmental disability, such as autism or mental retardation or Down syndrome, may not understand the function of toys. Therefore, watching a peer of the same age, a sibling, or a caregiver or parent is beneficial in learning how to use toys properly for their function. For example, if we talk about blocks, children with developmental disabilities may bang two blocks together, mouth the blocks, or throw them down on the floor. However, an example of modeling correct play would involve you as the parent taking several blocks in your hand as you stack them to make a tower. Let's look at point two now: engaging a child in a play scheme. If we go back to the example with blocks, your goal as a parent is to have your child transition from banging blocks together or throwing them on the floor to engaging with you in the action of building a block tower. A parent who uses and engages in functional play can also do the following: expand appropriate play and verbal responses by modeling the desired behavior, and also demonstrate appropriate play and desired responses. If we continue to use the example of playing with blocks, once your child has watched you build a block tower a minimum of 3 to 5 times, the expectation is that your child will now become interested in imitating your action. An example of an expansion of play would be your child deciding to build their own tower or knocking yours down. While sticking with the block example, you as the parent will also model desired behaviors. For example, showing excitement when the block tower falls down, or modeling the desired words or phrases you'd like your child to repeat, such as uh-oh, oh no, or down, while saying the words excitedly as the tower begins to fall. Okay, if we look at this slide here, a parent who uses and engages in functional play can do the following: reinforce appropriate behaviors and fade prompts as play becomes independent. In sticking with the block example, you as the parent could reinforce the appropriate play in a variety of ways. You could pretend to be sad that your child knocked down your tower, or you could act super excited that he or she knocked it down. Children tend to react in some manner to their parent or caregiver's emotions, so your job here is to create a number of emotional responses to see which one, if any, may prompt your child to attempt to knock down your block tower just to see your reaction to it again. When it comes to fading prompts, your ultimate goal here is to establish the appropriate play scheme as a new routine or habit for your child that he or she now enjoys and looks forward to participating in, without the need of your assistance to get them engaged in the play. Let's take a look at when it would be appropriate to work on developing a child's functional play skills. For the remainder of the podcast, I will discuss the importance of modeling functional play and when the use of modeling would be appropriate. So, now that we have discussed examples of how functional play can be modeled for desired behavior or outcome, let's discuss several instances for which functional play is beneficial. Functional play is beneficial for children who do not seem to understand how to use a toy appropriately. Children typically begin more in-depth exploration of toys between the ages of 12 to 18 months. In my years of practice, I have come across several children who, although they have access to toys and can play freely with them, they do not understand how to manipulate and interact with toys in a functional way. Examples include handing a child a toy car and then watching the child throw the car across the room as opposed to pushing it along on the carpet. Other examples include handing a child a ball and taking the ball back before the child can begin to chew on it as opposed to trying to throw the ball back at me. These actions or lack of appropriate functional play are often what I call dead giveaways, that the child may have an underlying developmental delay that is causing their lack of functional play skills to develop. When else would functional play be beneficial? Functional play would be beneficial for children who use toys in rote routines, but do not exhibit appropriate play with the toy. This lack of functional play is often seen and associated with children who have a diagnosis of autism or are considered to be on the autism spectrum. Some parents will misinterpret their child's ability to line up toy cars while counting them by telling me that, little Tommy likes to play with his cars. This is usually the point where I say, okay, let me try something. At that point, I remove one of the cars from little Tommy's row and roll it around on the floor while saying the vroom sound. That action is usually met with crying and attempts from little Tommy to snatch the car out of my hand so that the car can be placed directly in the spot from which I removed it. What is often occurring is the child's interest in a repetitive action or sequence as opposed to engagement in actual play. This level of frustration I see from the child in a scenario like this is often another dead giveaway that the child may have an underlying developmental delay that is causing the lack of functional play skills to develop. So, now that you know functional play is beneficial, you may be wondering, how can I do this at home? You may be thinking, do I need expensive or fancy toys? Will it take me a long time to learn how to do it? Will my child love what I am doing right away? The answer is no. There, I went ahead and answered some of the top questions parents always ask me. Now that we have gotten that out of the way, let me break down the practical ways in which this can be done at home. Let's talk about toys. Are fancy or expensive toys needed? Oftentimes, when I pull different therapy toys out of my bag that some kids really love, the two questions parents usually ask me is, where did I get it from and how much does it cost? I understand that certain toys ordered from a therapy-based website can be seen as expensive and out of reach for the average parent. That is why I like to start with cheap toys that parents can easily access and purchase. Parents are thoroughly surprised when I tell them that some of my, quote, fancy therapy toys are things that they can purchase from the dollar store. I'm about to let you in on a little secret. Bubbles are one of my favorite go-to toys for teaching functional play skills. Look at the picture of this child playing with bubbles. If you have at least $1.50 on hand, you can buy a small container of bubbles from a discount store and begin to introduce the wonders and excitement of trying to catch or pop them as dozens of bubbles float from the air into your child's grasp or reach. Let's look at this picture. A musician might see maracas. However, as a practical therapist, I see rattles, or simply put, noisy toys that children this age probably would be interested in shaking. Let's say you decide to get two rattles, one for you and one for your child, from the baby section of Walmart on Friday. You want to try this with little Jackie on Saturday. When you get up on Saturday morning after taking care of little Jackie's immediate needs, she is probably ready and primed to learn. This is when you can put on that dreaded song, Baby Shark Doot 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 Doot, or some other popular songs from Coco Melon on YouTube. As the song plays, you can interject shaking the rattle at various intervals in the song. Once the song has ended, you have just taught your child something new in under 5 minutes. The important thing is to be silly with your child and have fun. And I'm almost positive a smile or laugh is sure to follow. Okay, so you have the cheap toys and you're thinking, I can teach my child something new in under 5 minutes. Now you may be wondering, will my child love what I am doing right away? The short answer, no. Or if so, it may be for a brief moment. Please remember that this podcast was designed for parents of children who have not yet developed functional play skills at their expected age. Therefore, your child may not be thrilled with the changes that you are attempting to make. The key is to be patient and pick what I call a down day to lessen the stress or frustration that may come with trying to teach your child something that he or she is not initially thrilled about. Many of my parents who are raising a child with special needs often tell me of their hectic days or weeks filled with appointments with other therapists, doctors, other specialists, etc. So when they have down days, they take advantage of them. Your down day teaching moment may be you as the parent shaking a rattle to the beat of a song that you and your child are listening to together on YouTube because you finally have your child's attention for a brief moment. It may also be a day when you are blowing bubbles while sitting in your recliner, watching your precious child follow one bubble around it in the air, pop it, and then run away to do something else. Congratulate yourself and give yourself a pat on the back. You're wearing them down. This concludes today's podcast.